Good morning, everyone. My name is Adrian, and I will be your discussant for today's topic. Chapter 10: Rights and Duties. Man is born with rights and duties. There is too much talk about rights. We even have Commission on Human Rights suspect that duties are not given the same emphasis. We insist on our rights but often ignore our duties. Duties are ever more than fundamental than rights. The duties to do good and avoid evil takes proceeds over all rights. Notion of rights. Rights objectively is anything which is owned or due. Taken subjectively as passes by a person. Right is moral power. Right is the moral power bounded to be respected by others of doing, possessing, or requiring something. Right is founded upon a law, either the natural law or the human positive law. Rights are vested on the individual person or on a group of individual constituted by law as a juridical person, such as business, corporation, instructions, and association. Here are the kinds of law. Natural right. Kinds of right po pala. Correction. Natural right are those that are not depend on the laws or customs of any particular culture or government, and so are universal, fundamental, and inie- inalienable. Inalienable. They cannot be replied by human laws, though one can forfeit their enjoyment through one's actions, such as by violating someone else's right. Natural law is the law of natural right. Next, human rights are those on human positive law, either those enacted by the state or by a region. Civil rights promulgated by the state, such as the right to form association, the right to run for public office, and the right to due process. Ecclesiastical or religious rights are those promulgated by a church or sector, such as the right to attend religious services, the right to be instructed and in the faith, and the right to the services and the rights. Next, alienable and inalienable rights. Alienable are those which could surrender, renounce, or remove, such as the right to travel and the right to operate a business. Inalienable rights are those which cannot be surrendered, renounced, or removed, such as the right to life, the right to marry, and the right to educate. Juridical and non-juridical right. Juridical right are those based on the law. These rights are to be respected, permitted, fulfilled, and other as a matter of justice. Non-juridical rights are those based on virtue rather than strict justice. The right of a worker to wage is juridical, but his to clothing allowance is non-juridical. Right of jurisdiction. It is the power of a lawful authority to govern and make laws for his constituent, or depends a mayor has right to jurisdiction over the municipality and its residents. A parent has the same right over his children. Next, characteristic of rights. Excuse me. Coaction. is the power of inherent in rights to prevent their being violated and to exact redress for their unjust violation. Under normal circumstances, coaction is exercised by the courts of justice. In extraordinary situation, however, coaction may be enforced by the subject person himself, whose right is endangered, such as in the case of self-defenses against an unjust aggression. Limitation. It is a natural limits of boundary beyond which is right may not be insisted without violation, the right of other. One may not turn loud his radio when it is time for everyone to be sleeping in the dormitory. Collision. It is the conflict of two rights so related that it is not possible to exercise one without violating the other. There is a collision of rights between the right of the pedestrians and the car drivers to use the street in pursuit of their legitimate activities. In the jury, the conflict of right is merely apparent, since rights are founded on a laws which cannot be contradictory. Civil and political rights. A democratic social and individual person is assured of his civil and political rights. Next, civil rights are those enjoyed by person as private individual in pursuit of their personal activities and in their transaction with others. These include, among others, the right to a life, the right to privacy, the right to own property, the right to education, and the right to worship. Civil rights enjoyed by citizen and non-citizen. Political rights are those enjoyed by persons as a citizen in their participation in government affairs. This includes, among others, the right to run for public office, the right to vote, and the right to inform of public issues and the right to public service. Civil and political rights comprise what we refer to as human rights listed in the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is a list of rights pertaining to persons. The rights are recognized, guaranteed, and protected against invasion, reduction, and destruction. The Bill of Rights, writes Leonardo A. Kisombing, is premised on the belief in dignity of a man and intrinsic worth of human life. The powerful idea of human dignity taught by great ethical teachers from Confucius to Christ and Kant received a tremendous boost from the democratic idea of equality. The 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines, Article 3. Article 3, Section 1. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any be denied the equal protection of the laws. Section 2. The right of the people be secured in their persons, houses, papers, and effect against unreasonable search and seizures of whatever nature and for any purposes shall be inviolable, and no search warrant or warrant of arrest shall issue except upon the probable cause to be determined personally by the judge after examination under oath or affirmation of the complainant. and the witnesses, he may produce the particular describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Section 3. The privacy of communication and correspondence shall be inviolable except upon lawful order of the court, or when public safety or orders requires otherwise as prescribed by law. Number 2. Any evidence obtained in violation of this or the preceding section shall be inadmissible for any purpose in any proceeding. Section 4. No shall be passed abridging the freedom of speech or expression or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and petition the government for redress or grievances. Section 5. No law shall be made respecting on establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise therefore the free exercise and enjoyment of religious profession and worship without discrimination or preference shall forever be allowed. No religious test shall be required for the exercise of civil and political rights. Next, liberty of abode and changing the same within the limits prescribed by law shall not be impaired except upon lawful order of the court. Neither shall the right to travel be impaired except in the interest of national security, public safety, or public health as may be provided by law. Section 7. The right of the people to inform on matter of public concern shall be recognized. Access to official records and to documents and papers pertaining to officials' acts, transaction or decisions, as well as the government research data used as basis for policy development shall be afforded the citizen subject to such limitation as may be provided by the law. Section 8. The right of the people, including those employed in the public or private sector, to form unions, association, or society for purposes not contrary to law shall not be abridged. Section 9. Private property shall not be taken for a public use without just compensation. Section 10. No law impairing the obligation of the contracts shall be passed. Section 11. Free access to the courts and quasi-judicial bodies and adequate legal assistance shall not be denied to any person by reason. Next, Section 12, Number 1. Any person under investigation for the commission of an offense shall be the right to be informed of his right to remain silent and to have competent and independent counsel, preferably of his own choice. If the person cannot afford the service of counsel, he must be provided with one. This right can be waived except in writing and in the presence of counsel. Number 2. No torture, force, violence, threat, intimidation, or any other means which violate the free will shall be used against him. Secret detention place, solitary, incommunicado arresto or other similar form of detention are prohibited. Number 3. Any confession or admission obtained in violation of this or Section 17 hereof shall be inadmissible in evidence against him. The law shall provide for penal and civil sanctions for violation of his section as well as a compensation to rehabilitation of victims of torture or similar practice and their families. Section 13. All persons except those charged with offenses punishable by reclusion perpetua when evidence of guilt is strong shall before conviction be valuable by sufficient sureties or be released on recognizance as may be provided by a law. The right to bail shall not be impaired even when the privilege of the right of habeas corpus is suspended. Excessive bail shall not be required. Section 14, number 1. No person shall be held to answer for a criminal offense without due process of law. In a criminal prosecution, the accused shall be presumed innocent until the contrary is provided, and shall enjoy the right to be heard by himself and counsel, to be informed of the natural and cause of accusation against him, to have speedy, impartial, and public trial, to meet the witnesses face to face, and to have compulsory process to secure the attendance of witness and the production of evidence in his behalf. However, after agreement, trial may proceed notwithstanding the absence of the accused, provided that he has been duly notified and his failure to appear is unjustified. Section 15. The privilege of the right of habeas corpus shall not be suspended except in the case of invasion or rebellion when the public safety requires it. Section 16. All persons shall have the right to a speedy deposition of their cases before all judicial, quasi-judicial or quasi-judicial or administrative bodies. Section 17. No person shall be compelled to be a witness against him. Section 18, number 1. No person shall be detained solely by reason of his political beliefs and aspiration. No involuntary servitude in any form of shall except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. Section 19, number 1. Excessive fines shall not be imposed, nor cruel, degrading, or inhuman punishment inflicted. Neither shall the death penalty be imposed unless the compelling reasons involving crimes the Congress hereafter provides for it. Any death penalty already imposed shall be reduced to reclusion perpetua. The the employment of physical, psychological, or degrading punishment against any prisoner or detainee, or the use of substandard in or inadequate panel facilitates under subhuman conditions shall be dealt with by law. Section 20. No person shall be imprisoned for debt nor payment of a poll tax. Section 21. No person shall be twice put in jeopardy of punishment for the same offenses. If an act is punished by a law and the ordinance, conviction, or acquittal under either shall constitute a bar to other prosecution for the same act. Lastly, Section 22. No ex post facto law or bill of attainder shall be enacted. Next, economic, social, and cultural rights. The sum of human rights is not limited to the civil and political rights of individual. Today, human rights include economic, social, and cultural rights. Renato Constantino declares economic, social, and cultural rights are as important as political and civil rights. For freedom from detention, torture, and other form of political repression will be meaningless when people are hostage to hunger, disease, ignorance, and unemployment. In the same way, freedom from social and economic iniquities would be in vain without the right to participate in the determination of the society. The Philippines is signatory to International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights of United Nations General Assembly. The covenant calls on all signatory states to recognize and guarantee the basic social, economic, and cultural rights of all people. Among others, the covenant guarantees the right to work, including the right to just a favorable condition of work, to fair wages, and the right to freely form and join trade unions. It guarantees the right to social security, the right to an adequate standard of living, and the right to be free from hunger, and the right to enjoy the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health. It guarantees the right to educate, the right to take part in cultural life, and the right to enjoy the benefit of specific progress. Above all, covenant guarantees or collective right of a people, the right to self-determination, which is the right to freely determine their political status and freely pressure the economic, social, and cultural development. That's all my report. Thank you for listening.